I solemnly swear I'm up to no good. Well, I originally had planned to do a video to kind of show off my new toy, but Amber had sent a video out over the weekend. Sweet, adorable Amber. Covering uh, me and how I've kind of helped her in regards to maybe what she's interested in doing as a career, and how she, looks up to me and thinks of me as like a best friend, or at least a friend. And so I kind of decided that I really want to talk a little bit about that before kind of getting into a new toy. Um, so to start, Amber, I am very, very honored and very excited that you feel that way. Um, all my nieces and nephews obviously mean a lot to me. Um, I have fur babies, or I have a fur baby right now, just Clyde. Um, and, I think the time for children for me have come and gone. So obviously, you guys mean the world to me. But there is, I think, a special bond and connection between the two of us. I think we are a lot alike for one reason or another. When I saw your video, I kept thinking, what did I do to deserve all these kind words and things? Um, so, like I said, I adore all my nieces and nephews, but there is a special kind of connection between us, and I'm not sure if it's just because you're the old. It's not just because, but I'm not sure if it's related to the fact that you're the oldest of the four, and since I was the oldest of my brother and sister, we kind of had that connection, or if it's stemming off of just how much we are connect, how much we do like the same kind of things, and then it seems like even when there's things that you like that I don't really like, it seems like all of a sudden then I do it with you and I end up liking it. Hamilton was the perfect example. When it first came out, I'm like, nope, not interested. And I like musicals, but not interested. And then you talked about it, and you talked about the songs and all that. And then I had the Hamilton weekend with you, and next thing I know, I was like, ooh, I like Hamilton, and I listened to the music all the time and everything else. So, we have that connection. So I just wanted to kind of touch on a lot of the things you said in your video. So the first thing is, you mentioned not having a lot of friends. Like, you don't have like this big harem, or whatever that word is, like, of all the friends. And I just kind of wanted to say, don't worry, don't stress it. So grade school, kindergarten through fifth. Um, I couldn't even really point out names. I mean, I could pull a couple out of the hat, like, of people I do kind of remember. But the one thing I remember in junior high was trying to have like these, like, I have a big party because I wanted to be like the cool kids and have all my friends over. And my that birthday party was, of all my birthdays, the worst. I mean, it was awful. Like, there were all these different cliques, and they weren't all friends with each other. But I had to have this big party because I wanted to make it look like I had all these friends, and they were all fighting each other. There was girls crying, and it was just, oh, it was so bad. So yeah, and then when I got into junior high, which is like sixth through eighth for us, that's when I kind of just things kind of just stemmed in. So you have your friends at school, you have people you talk to. I mean, you're a very friendly person, Amber. You're not. I don't think you're a bully. I don't think you're mean. I don't think you're super quiet. So, I mean, I'm sure you have friends. You have people you talk to. It's COVID makes it very hard right now to understand it. But so when I got into junior high, though, I kind of just ended up really detailing into that I had three friends, that I was really close to. It was Holly, Kristen, and Jamie. And we kind of went back and forth who we were most close with at certain times. Holly and I were pretty much inseparable. A lot of people would have swore we were sisters. I went on vacations with her family. She went on vacations with us. We were very close, very connected. When we got into high school, though, I think our sophomore year, Holly got a boyfriend. And because of the way I wasn't really popular with the boys. So we kind of ended up obviously spent more time with her boyfriend. And so that kind of happened with that relationship. Jamie and I were friends pretty much all through high school. Hung out. I, hung out sometimes at her house. She hung out sometimes at my house. Both of us knew our families, each other's families. Kristen and I, again, sixth grade on up through college, high school, and Kristen actually, I still talk through Facebook, and actually doesn't look too far away. Um, Kristen and I had the connection with volleyball. We both played, and Kristen was very smart, and so that's I think where some of our separation was. I was smart, but I wasn't as smart as Kristen was. So we had that kind of separation, and then our separation in sports. We both were in volleyball, but she leaned then towards cross country, where I leaned away from anything dealing with running. So I love track, but I like the field side of track, not the running side of track. Um, so really, and then when you get into college, everything changes, in terms of how friends come in and come out. So, you know, even now, I mean, when you start to get then older as an adult, it's like you've got work friends. So I've got Dawn and Julie, and everybody at work. And then then you've got friends outside of work, and then in all different areas. So, and they don't all necessarily get along either with each other. So, you look at the club. So at the club, there's Mike, there's Brent, there's Roger, and do we all hang out together? Not really. So, but they're all my friends. Well, Brent's more than my friend, obviously, but and Roger at one point was also more than a friend and everything. So that's the story for when you get much older. But don't sweat it. When I was your age, you know, my my friendship, I always did so much with my family. I mean, you know how close we all were. Um, I did everything with Papa. I went to Papa refereed and umpired. I went to almost all the games. And so I just never was out seeking friendship and things to hang out with. If in the summertime, what did we do during the day? We went swimming, we hung out, we played. And when I say we, David, me, and Chrissy. So we were very close, and it could have been because I was the oldest. So I kind of, felt connected to my brother and sister, felt I needed to watch my brother and sister, be there for my brother and sister. But so I wouldn't sweat it. I wouldn't worry about it. You're a nice person. You don't if you and I'm sure you have friends. I just don't think you realize it. And you already mentioned you have like best friends. Like you have Mackenzie that you talk to every day. I think is her name. So I wouldn't sweat it. You kind of had like that sad thing, like I'm gonna cry about it. Don't. You've got friends, and more importantly, you have me. I mean, that's all you need, right? But no, seriously though, don't. You are fine. You are a nice person. You are not a bully. You are not mean. You are not overly quiet and hidden. So I think you're fine. You're doing just good. And you got me. You got your other aunts and uncles. And you've got your parents. And you got your brother. And that's what really matters. So then, moving on to a funner topic, you started talking about like almost like the friend binding. So like how you're Disney binding for the birthday parties, like the friend, like who does our friendship match up to? And so you mentioned the Harry Potter pit with but then like I'm like, no, there's not a lot of girls in Harry Potter. And you mentioned Jenny and Hermione, and I was just like, I didn't read the books, so I don't know, like maybe in the books they had a closer relationship, but I really didn't see it in the movies. Nana was just like, just face it, the facts. You guys are the female Harry and Ron, which I thought was really funny. She's probably right. And then, I swear I'm not a Disney nut, right? I mean, I keep telling myself that. I've got this whole wall of Disney stuff, and I've got tons of Disney music, and go to Disney World on vacations, but I'm not a Disney nut. But right away I was like, oh, who from Disney can we relate to? And I was like, well, there's Anna and Elsa, but they're sisters. So, of course, they have that other relationship. And I'm like, man, they really don't have a lot of situations where they have like female characters like teaming up in Disney. I mean, like none of the princesses all team up together. They all have weird little critter friends. So, yeah, I'm not going to be your little critter friend, Amber. So Nana said Minnie and Daisy, which I was like, I think that is probably the only Disney connection there is. So then you brought up Friends, which I was like, well, how is that going to work? Because I swear we would both say we're Phoebe. So it's like Phoebe being friends with Phoebe. I'm not sure about us being Rachel's. I mean, maybe the whole stuck on Ross thing might fit into my personality. Kind of stuck. But yeah, I don't know. I see us both wanting to be Phoebe. Monica, I mean, I can see my connection to Monica because of the cooking and because of the, wanting to be organized. But I'm not to her circle level of everything has got to be in this order and everything's got to be spotless and I vacuum every day. I'm not to that level. So there is some kind of binding with Monica, but I'm not sure all the way. So then I was like, okay, well, where can I go from there? I mean, you've got my things as when I was a teenager. So there's like the 90210. So there's Brenda, Donna, Kelly, and Andrea. But you're not gonna really know a lot about those characters, and I don't think that's a one that you want to Netflix and kind of watch. It was good, but there's better things probably to watch. I mean, I was like, okay, what about Glee? And I'm like, I loved Glee. I watched the whole way through, but I don't think there's any characters I feel like binding to. There was Gilmore Girls, Rory and Lorelai, but that was mom and daughter, so that's kind of you and your mom, not me. So I was kind of thinking, and I was like, oh, Sex in the City, and I was like, oh, Carrie and Samantha and Miranda and Charlotte, and I have like a connection to all of them, so I was all like, oh, this is perfect. And then I was like, no. I think your dad is probably starting thinking, no, she's not ready for Sex in the City yet. And by the time your dad probably thinks you're ready for Sex in the City, I will be too old to be any of those characters. So moving on, I started trying to think about the shows that we are kind of both connected to. So right away, Twilight jumped in my head, but I think that's another case where we would both go after the same character. We'd both want to be Alice. I don't want to be Bella. I mean, if you want to be Bella, go ahead. And I just can't see, like, if I had to think of a character for you, like, I wouldn't even, again, I think we'd both say Alice. So I kind of threw Twilight out. So that led us to the last two, which I'm dying to know what you think about for these two. So there is Vampire Diaries. Now, I know you kind of teared up about that thought because I'm sure you're thinking about the end of one of the characters or this is how her life turned out and that's not good. So I get that. But think it just in terms of character, like who they are and how they act and stuff like that. So there's Elena, which obviously both of us would say Elena for, because of the boys. I mean, who wouldn't want to be her to be next to those two men? But I don't think aside from the two men would be my only reason for Elena. I wasn't too big of a fan of her. So then it's like Caroline or Bonnie, which I kind of like both of them. So I'm kind of curious, like, what your thoughts are. Like, who would you bind me to? Who would you bind yourself to when it comes to Vampire Diaries? And then there's the final one, Stargirl. So I love Stargirl's hair. So for that reason, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to be Stargirl. But that's not a good reason. You are Stargirl, no doubt in my mind. I mean, she is stubborn. She gets into mischief. She wants to do things her way, and it takes a lot to get her to understand it's not necessarily the right way. You usually listen to us, but it takes time. So I'm like, dude, Amber is Stargirl. I mean, it's over. You are Stargirl. So that leaves me with Wildcat and Dr. Midnight. I'm Dr. Midnight. There's no doubt about it. I mean, she tries to do the right thing. She tries to push them into the right direction, and then a lot of times, though, it ends up going terribly wrong. I mean, think back to Halloween and Hidden Lakes. We'll leave it at that. So I am dying to hear back what you think, especially in terms of those two. Like, who would you bind with? Who would you bind me with? So that was kind of a big thing. And then there is the volleyball connection, which I'm just looking so forward to. I cannot wait until the weather is nice and we can start like doing bump set spikes. I love doing that. Me and Kristen used to do it all the time. And yeah, that's our warm ups. And I just, oh, it's so fun. And it would be so cool to be able to do it with somebody again. So I'm totally looking forward to it. I'm totally excited about it. You know, I remember volleyball, like when I first started, so we had basically the 3 positions. I know there's all new positions now and new names for everything, but so we had the front row, which are our blockers and our hitters. Then you had the back row, which was our diggers. And then you had the setter. And of course, the dream of mine was to be the front row. But I am both vertically and horizontally challenged. And so there was no way I was ever even getting above the net when I jumped. So front row became very unreachable. No matter how many wall jumps I tried, I was never getting myself to the point that I could be in the front row. So then I was like, oh, I can be in the back row. That is very important. I mean, you got to get the first hit on a spot, on a serve to the spike, to the setter. You know, you had to dig the spikes, big bros. I want to do that. So I practiced that and everything, but the problem with that is when you dig, you have to be able to dig, hit the ball, and roll and stand right back up. Not happening. So right away, the back row went out. And so one thing we did notice, though, I was a very good server. And then the coaches noticed I was very determined. So they suddenly realized with that determination, you'd be a great setter, because a setter has got to be determined to get that second hit, to set up those hitters in the front row. And so I became a setter, and I loved the position. It was so much great. Volleyball was not my best sport, but it was my favorite. I exceeded expectations when it came to softball. I followed Papa's role and became a catcher. I love the position. It's my favorite position, but it does lead to great injuries, which I experienced. It was an honor as a sophomore in high school to be on the varsity team. So I loved my coach. So to leave softball was very hard. But then that led me into a direction which I almost wish I would have known about earlier in high school, was track, getting into field. So throwing discus was bad. I should not be allowed to spin and throw anything. But throwing shot put, I was very good at. And within a year, I went to regionals. So I would have been to state had I started it as a freshman. So sports were big in me in high school, and so that's why I keep saying, you know, and I know we make fun of band camp, and I know I make fun of cheerleaders, and there's nothing wrong with either of those. I am totally supportive in whatever you do. I will be there to cheer you on. But sports are very important to me, and I did love them, and I miss them every day. So I look forward to practicing with you and being there with you and cheering at your games, whatever you decide to do. If it's football and watching you at halftime because you're in band, if it's watching you at games because you're a cheerleader, whatever it is, I look forward to being there and involved with you. But I hope you stay in volleyball so that we can play. But yeah, the only thing I got to figure out is how to make you stop growing, because you're getting so tall and I'm gonna be so short. The only favor I have is, again, my horizontal size will always beat you, so I can squash you like a bug. Just kidding. So the final thing, which I'm gonna do as a separate video because it's a much longer topic to go into, and I want to go into it. I want to kind of tell you how I got started, and then some of the cool possibilities. But that's the fact that you are into programming. I'm just thrilled. That is so cool to hear. It's so exciting to hear. It's just so, I'm so happy. Um, I I've got some ideas. I can tell you, I have a, if you stay with it, I can kind of, I have an idea, I think, of where you're going to go. It'll be really interesting if you do. And now you've inspired me to look into something, because I think that might be where you end up because of your creativity, that I'm almost just like, well, I want to learn how to do it too so that I can talk to her about it. So I am that I when I heard that in your video, I mean, I know you've talked about it before, but I didn't know how serious you are about it. In your video, you definitely seem very serious about it now. So I'm really excited. Now I know you're still young. Don't be afraid to change your mind. Um, Mind changing happens a lot. You know, I did it quite a bit. All the way up into college, I was going two different roads, and then finally in college, I ended up just going one way. But I do still have some connections and thoughts in that other direction I was going. So don't be afraid to try different things, even though you think your mind is made up on coding. You know, stick with the coding, but throw in a couple little hobby things. You know, see how it goes. But I'm so excited, and I can't wait to do more with you about that. But like I said, I'm going to do that one as a separate video because I really want to go in. I really want to tell you the story of how I started. It's so funny too because it's like such a cliche. I never want to say it all started with a boy. You, as a girl, you never want to say you did something because of a boy, but it started with a boy. But not completely. I mean, I was into it before, but I think, yeah, the boy helped sign the deal. But it was one of those things where the end result was good, so it's okay, I think, to tell the story that it started with a boy. So yeah, I definitely want to do like a separate video to kind of explain to you how I got started in the computers, what I do, like my technical name, and my favorite part of coding right now, what like I really enjoy doing, and then I kind of give you some thoughts on, you know, I see you as doing this. If you really do like it, you should look into this because I think you'd be really good at it and you really like it. But that's for a later video, which will hopefully be sometime in the next couple of days. I need to get back to work. Clyde needs to go to the vet. This was just a break. I needed to take a break from coding. And I still do need to do a video on my new toy because I'm so excited about it. So yeah, but on a serious note, I know you sent this almost a week ago, Amber. I've been thinking about it. It's been on my mind every single day. So just because I'm finally responding to it now does not mean that I wasn't thinking about it or anything like that. I was truly honored and blown away by everything you said. It meant so much to me, and you mean a great deal to me. And I could not ask for a better niece. And I look forward to us keep on growing this relationship and this friendship. Like I said, I joke around with it when I'm with you, that it's kind of silly and sad that, you know, this is my niece, my 13-year-old niece, and she's my best friend. But it is kind of that way. It's not just a niece. I do look at you as a friend. I text, you know, I'm like texting you, we talk, we do this YouTube stuff. I never did YouTube, never, never, never. And then I started doing YouTube so I could talk to you and be connected to you. So, you mean a great deal to me. I do what I hope to do, a little more this summer too, is I'd like to get you that connection with Sophia. So the way you kind of like feel connected to me and relate to me, I think it would mean a lot to Sophia if she had you like that. That older, you know, kind of connection to look at and feel like she has that older friend that she can go to. Because I think it means a lot to have that kind of relationship. And she already kind of started feeling that way about you. I mean, like when she saw you had that purse, she's like, well, I want a purse just like my cousin Amber. And then when she got that purse, it was, you've got to take a picture. You've got to show cousin Amber. I'm just like her now. So, I mean, I think she already has that kind of like, she wants to be like you. And so I'd like to be able to hopefully find a way to get you two connected a little bit more, either helping her understand YouTube a little bit, and maybe having some girls sleepovers or figuring out something so that she can feel that connection. Because I know, just like I feel really thankful that I have that connection with you, and you're really thankful you have that connection with me. I think she would love to kind of have that connection with you and have that person that helps inspire her and lead her and help her make decisions and stuff like that. So hopefully we get to do more of that this summer. So I am gonna get back to work and take Clyde to the vet. Hopefully all goes good with that. And my next video will be going into my whole programming thing, that other big connection we have, that we both are computer geeks. Ooh. And telling you a little bit about, like I said, how I got started in computers and what are my favorite things that I'm involved in now, and what I'm looking forward to, like, kind of getting involved in, because I think you might get involved in it, and so I'd like to be able to talk to you about it and relate to you if that's the path you take. Mischief managed.